Welcome back to another episode of Tech Circuit. I am Ben Tibble. Why even couldn't I say my own name? Ben Tibbles. I'm Ben Tibbles. With me, as always, is the exceptional David Lee, and that was our theme song by the wonderful DJ X Sub N. We have an excellent show for you this week. Lots to talk about, so let's dive into it.
This week, we'll be talking about the game showcase that everybody was talking about for Xbox and PlayStation, the Switch 2 latest release news, and AMD's 9060 XT after stories.
And then, of course, the YO user circuit. All right. Let's start with the game showcases, the PlayStation State of Play. I can't remember what Xbox calls theirs.
They just called it the showcase.
Lame. The one thing that they decided to name logically is just couldn't be any of their consoles. God forbid. All right. So I want to hear from you out there what you thought, which of these you're more hyped on. Obviously, I'm PlayStation Nation. I'm super excited about some of the things that are coming out. We'll talk about it in a little bit. But I think one of the biggest pieces of news out here is the divide between Xbox and PlayStation might be getting bridged.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That was crazy. Xbox is underhandedly stealing PlayStation exclusives. I thought that was the funniest thing because on the trailer they had the Xbox OS, right?
Yeah.
And on it was like an icon to launch Steam, and Steam has PlayStation exclusives.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Tell us out there, like, I'm interested to see how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
Could Xbox just swoop in and kind of take over this market?
Yeah, Xbox has been doing really, really well with their Game Pass.
Mhm.
At first I just scoffed at Game Pass, but then they're just releasing like a lot of great titles on it, and I think Xbox is really capturing that market well,
Mhm.
much better than the PlayStation catalog for digital for what's it, the Game Pass, their version of their Game Pass.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I got to tell you, if I were a parent getting one of these systems for my child, I would want to give them a PlayStation, but if I'm thinking financially and peace of mind and just sanity, I think I'd get them an Xbox with Game Pass, because then it's just like play, go, like
Yeah.
play whatever you want. I don't have to buy a ton of games now. It's just like, there's your subscription, go play and leave me and your mother alone.
I laughed out of my mind when I found out Xbox raised their prices on not only their accessories but also their consoles, because there were rumors that like their consoles weren't selling and the stores were like, why do we even have these? But now like I can see like everything's an Xbox.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with Xbox.
Mhm.
What were they announcing? We talked a little bit about Xbox OS, talked a little bit about Steam.
Game Freak is releasing a game teaching us or reminding us that they don't only release Pokemon for what is it called? Beast of Reincarnation,
Yep.
which I thought was fabulous. The gameplay looks smooth. It
looks crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, there's no Pokemon here.
No, it looks like somewhere between like Monster Hunter and Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's
Mhm.
like it's a crazy. Go look it up if you haven't seen it yet. After this, don't tune away from this podcast. But after this, go look up the trailer because it does look very, very cool. There's another game that they announced that I'm surprised you didn't dive into first. It's a sequel, and it's called Silksong.
Yes, it was first announced 2019. And then Xbox made an announcement, I think 3 years ago, saying it's going to be released in 12 months. That was a fat lie. And now they say it's going to be released again. And I think the developers this year confirmed that it was going to be released before Christmas. Now, the funniest thing was there was an announcement that you could play Silksong on an museum in Australia, like before they announced it for total release this year. And I was just like, do I have to fly to Australia to play this damn game? So I dude.
But you
Silksong.
didn't. You're here
I am here. I
Yeah.
am currently here.
Yep.
For now.
for now. Watch yourself, Australia. Keep those kangaroos in line.
Mhm.
Okay, so diving into PlayStation State of Play. Xbox
Yes.
looks great. I love PlayStation. I'm a PlayStation loyalist. Some of the things that we knew were coming, right? Like Ghost of Yotai. So excited for Ghost of Yotai.
Oh.
I loved Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know much about Yotai. I've been, for some reason, I've been hesitant to dive into the trailers on it. I kind of want to keep it a surprise, I think.
Ooh, I like that.
But I know that like you can train wolves. That's awesome. Like it looks like you can have like little wolf companions. And I know it takes place a good bit after Ghost of Tsushima chronologically. So I'm interested to see where the level of tech is going to fall, right? Are we going to be fighting people with muskets now, or is it going to still be, mostly martial weapons? And I'm interested to see if they resurrect or reincarnate the multiplayer, because I loved Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer. I love a cooperative multiplayer.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I played Ghost of Tsushima for a little bit, and it was a cinematic experience. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Like I turned out all the lights in my house. I upped the brightness. I like put on my headphones, and it was glorious.
One of the most beautiful games ever made.
Yeah,
Ever made ever.
easily.
Yeah.
The other one that was released in the State of Play was Final Fantasy Tactics. Have you played that one?
I haven't beaten it, but I played Tactics. Yeah.
It's like considered like the grandfather of a lot of tactics games, and
It's considered that, but I would point you to a little game called Shining Force for the Sega Genesis, and Shining Force 2, which is actually one of my favorite games of all time. Great games. I love a tactical RPG, and I enjoyed Final Fantasy Tactics. I believe Tactics had the job system.
Yes.
Which was a lot of fun. I liked it a lot. Didn't fully understand it, but I liked it. I had a good time.
Yeah, the job system was what really revolutionized and opened up the space, and it's been ongoing since then. And I loved it in Octopath Traveler. I loved it, and I continue to love it now. And now Pragmata. Have you heard anything about Pragmata?
No.
That was a game that was announced 2022, and nobody heard a whisper of it ever since. Like we were wondering, like, was it real? And so they showed off Pragmata 3 years later, and on this little sticky note, they said, "We're sorry, we're real, we're releasing next year." I laughed kind of hard at that because I wanted to play that game and heard nothing about it. And so I was always wondering like what it was. So I'm excited for you, Pragmata. I'm coming for you.
Watch out. You in Australia. Be careful. So the last thing that we're going to cover here, the Marvel fighting game, I can't remember what it's called. It looks cool. Do you think it has a chance of being as successful as Marvel Rivals?
Good question. I don't think fighting games have ever really reached that level of popularity, but I'm sorry, Evo fans out there, I know you're big. I know you guys are super passionate. Not saying anything bad about that, but fighting games, I don't know. Like when I go across the street, I meet more like Overwatch players or like League of Legends players. But
what's
not
across the street from you? Why are you going across the street? What's what? I don't understand that phrase.
And which street are we talking about?
Like when you just meet another gamer, like fighting games
over
are
there, but not over here.
Oh, yeah.
On the other side of the train tracks.
On the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
David, you're a dangerous gamer gaming over on the wrong side. Those people are brutal. Yeah, I agree. I think fighting games, while popular, are not the same level as popular as what Marvel Rivals. What is the genre of Marvel Rivals and like Overwatch? What do we call those games?
Payload pushers.
What's that?
Payload pushers.
Payload pushers.
That's funny.
That sounds like a euphemism for something else.
Oh my god.
We out here pushing payloads.
Hero shooters, competitive hero shooters.
So here's what I would say. That is a more popular market. People like playing those games. But also I'd say the fighting game market is pretty well saturated with some pretty legendary titles.
That's true.
That I don't hear anyone complaining about, right? I don't hear anyone complaining about Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter or Tekken.
You're right.
But people were complaining that Overwatch 2 was getting stale. It was falling behind. It wasn't exciting or fun anymore.
Not enough characters.
Not enough characters. And now Marvel Rivals came out and became Overwatch 3, and people went crazy. I don't think there's that same vacuum in the fighting game space. But let me know if I'm wrong, and let me know what your favorite fighting game of all time is. What's your favorite fighting game of all time?
It's probably going to be this Marvel fighting game. That's what it's going to be, honestly. But there was this like, what is it? This big giant knight in Soul Calibur with a giant sword.
His name is Nightmare.
Nightmare. I like Nightmare. That's my thing.
I loved Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur 2 is one of the best fighting games of all time. I play as the guy with the stick. I can't remember his name.
I play the guy with the fist.
That's a lot of games. Also, Bloody Roar. Bloody Roar is a cool fighting game series where you play as lycanthropes. Not lycanthropes, because that's specifically werewolf, but you play as zoanthropes that turn into animals. My favorite guy there was a ninja that turned into a weremole. He had giant claws, and he'd go, gah, and he'd get you. Don't choke. All right. We're going to move on to our next topic. The Switch 2 released last week.
Yeah.
As we record this, it'll be 2 weeks ago. As you're listening to this or just thereabouts. Not necessarily a 100% smooth experience, this launch.
I can't believe what I was like, I'm living in a simulation when I read this story. The Switch 2 screen was so close to the outer lining of the box that when an employee stapled the receipt onto the box, it punctured the screen. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And Nintendo actually had to release an official statement regarding that, saying
don't staple the boxes.
Yeah, I don't know what they said. I just read that there was an announcement, but I'm pretty sure they're all getting like another Switch 2, or at least they should.
I mean, but it should be, that should be on whatever shop, Best Buy or whoever stapled the stupid box. Like that's, I mean, come on, that's what tape is for. Use tape. Stapling. Who's stapling receipts out there? If you're watching, thank you for being a viewer. Okay, but we've also seen some compatibility issues. Yeah, and on some like big titles, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Dead by Daylight, and Warframe. We were just talking about Warframe. I think the last episode I was telling everyone to get it because it's a free game that's a lot like Destiny, which is also a free game, but we don't need to go into that. No, Warframe's a really cool game, but you know, I'm sure especially Smash Brothers, people were excited to play on the Switch too, and can't.
Yeah. There were 3 categories of compatibility issues. You could launch the game, you couldn't launch the game, you couldn't save, or you couldn't I forgot what the third category is. But
you couldn't love.
You couldn't.
That was the worst compatibility issue of all.
Oh god.
But also, they're already getting the same stick drift issue.
Oh no.
That's what I've seen.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Like that is the one thing that I was like, you gotta fix this issue. I was thinking to myself, there's no way they're gonna come out to the market with another Switch that has that same stick drift issue. There's no way Nintendo does that.
Dude.
Here we are. What the hell?
I played on the Switch 2. I went hunting for it. And when I held the controller, it didn't feel great. It didn't.
You know, the Joy-Cons themselves, I like more than the old Joy-Cons. I like those more. However, when you have them in the little frame, so it feels like one, that feels terrible.
Yep.
It feels awful.
It doesn't feel great.
I haven't had a worse Nintendo controller since like the original NES controller that was like, ow, because it's like you're holding 4 spikes in your hands. That's and it has a repairability score of 30%.
Yeah, iFixit wasn't very happy with that one. So iFixit's like, for those of you that don't know, iFixit's like the de facto DIY I can fix it Felix kind of deal, right? And they give a score on repairability for all the other devices out there. They actually gave the Switch 2 an 80%, which wasn't bad. And sorry, I'm dying. And then they removed that 80% score. They halved it to 40% for the original Switch. And then they looked at the Switch 2 and said, this is unacceptable, and made it 30%. I was pissed. That's still a same Joy-Con drift issue.
That is insane to me, because like I know everyone out there, I've heard it from PlayStation players, I've heard it from Xbox players, I've heard it from everyone that says stick drift is an issue. I've never had stick drift issues on my PlayStation, so I don't know what y'all are doing, but I've never had a stick drift issue on my PlayStation controllers. None of them.
You're right.
I haven't heard any of my friends complaining about their Xbox controllers having stick drift issues.
What is Nintendo doing?
What is happening?
Okay, now I'm even more pissed.
Like that's what, and again, other people will say that they have had stick drift issues. I don't think that they're lying, but at the same time, I know everyone who has a Nintendo Switch has had stick drift issues. So how are you going to come to market with a sequel console that has the same issue? What, you didn't learn, Nintendo. You played yourself.
We're gonna go to Japan and we're gonna raise some pitchforks.
I'm gonna fight Mr. Nintendo. All right. So the 9060 XT is out. It's been making waves. It is easily the better GPU in the budget space, in the budget GPU space. How's the market reacting?
Everybody is agreeing that this is the better value GPU, like by far in that market space. But there's no data to back that the reviewers' words up. Like Tom's Hardware was stating that NVIDIA commands 92% of the GPU market, and that the 9070 XT is not even listed in the Steam hardware survey.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So, like, I don't know what's happening with AMD. I feel like they just gave up on the GPU market. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know. I mean, that's weird because it feels to me like NVIDIA is kind of giving up on the GPU market. It seems like they're pushing everything into AI right now, and that their latest series of GPUs are just kind of a refresh of the last series. Like they don't
crap. Yeah, you're
like,
right.
Like, no, I mean, it sounds like NVIDIA is pivoting more toward AI because they feel like that's the future and that's where the money is. And so they're not putting that much development into their actual GPUs anymore. So it feels like if AMD can just hold out a little longer, if they can just keep in the market and keep fighting, they might take that market from NVIDIA when NVIDIA's doesn't have their eye on the ball.
I know.
Like it feels like they're positioned to do that. And if AMD doesn't do it, I'm going to say this out loud and you can laugh at me.
No way.
Intel will do it. I'm not lying. If NVIDIA takes their eye off the GPU market and starts focusing on AI exclusively in servers and things like that, one of these other two competitors is going to step in and they're going to take the market, because I know that our viewers out there and many gamers out there want a powerful GPU, but they don't care about AI frame gen. They don't trust it. They don't like it. And a lot of the other features that make NVIDIA the more like appealing card are kind of falling to the wayside. You know, AMD's catching up on ray tracing.
Yes.
Intel does a decent job at 1080p gaming and, you know, high refresh rate, low res gaming. Intel graphics cards can do that. Not as well, but they can. And technology's only going to get better as it goes. So I don't know. I think NVIDIA is pushed. The other thing that I would say about that, NVIDIA commands 92% of the discrete GPU market. Is that across all sectors, or is that specifically like consumer gaming?
Consumer GPUs.
Because like, here's the thing. I know NVIDIA is a popular GPU for rendering and for animation and things like that, because a lot of the software and other components that go into that are designed with NVIDIA in mind. So that synergy just creates a market for NVIDIA. So if that's part of this 92%, this could be a slightly misleading figure.
Oh,
But 92 is a pretty commanding lead. I doubt it's that misleading.
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
maybe another some 10% or something like that.
So I want to hear your thoughts. What are the reasons AMD may or may not be losing the market share? And is this going to be a continuing trend? I want to hear your thoughts for next week, and we'll give him a shout out. All right.
And don't disappoint him. You already heard what he's going to do to Australia and
Mr. Nintendo.
that's what I'm going. I'm coming for Mr. Nintendo.
Don't hurt the koalas.
Now it is time for the YO user circuit. We're getting good at that.
Oh.
All right. Do you want to take this first one, David?
Shark bait memes from one day ago says, "Tough bro, this helps so much."
You're welcome. Brendan Brock says, "Please let me get a free PC." Brendan, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the same thing I tell everyone. Make sure you're following Newegg on YouTube, on all your social media platforms, because we do giveaways you're coughing, I'm burping. Like, what is happening today? Pretty regularly. We've given away like 4 or 5 high power gaming PCs this year alone.
Yeah.
We're only halfway through. So like, stick around. There's always big things coming up. Newegg Fantastic is going to be happening sometime soon. Intel Gamer Days happens in late summer usually. Those are times that you might see Black Friday. All these things are instances where you might see us do a giveaway. So make sure you're following us on all of our all your social media platforms so you don't miss a chance to win. Please.
Mega Math JE.
I think it's Ject.
Ject?
I think so. I want to say it's Ject because that's a character from Final Fantasy X, my favorite Final Fantasy, and I think that's it.
Did bro just casually confirm the Switch 3? Yes.
Yeah, we did. Also confirmed, it has stick drift.
No, don't speak it into existence.
Apparently, they can't get away from it. So, I feel like I shouldn't even say this username. Dunt says, "Give me 2K and let me make a few videos for you, and I'll build/sell PC cases, and I have a few other video ideas." Hey, shoot us an email. Dunt. Podcast@newegg.com. Shoot us an email. Let me know what you're thinking. Hey, if it works, yeah, let's work together, baby. Especially if you live in SoCal, that makes it a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. It's Shrimple. Every Shrimple. I need it.
No, you got to say it like SpongeBob.
I need it.
I have trouble. This is from Saint Rose 42. I have trouble when most bigger games are released with unrefined or lackluster graphics and bugs. It's a weird balance, though. Other early access games are intentionally building their games over time with the input of the community. Schedule 1, Palia, Phasmophobia, Repo, Raft, etc. For me, it comes down to the developer sharing completed versus in-progress games. I need to know what I'm getting. It's a fair point.
Valid points.
I think that's a great, like, would you be interested if there was say a badging similar to what we have with the ratings that's like completed game versus in progress game? Would you pay a different price for an in progress game if you know that, hey, this game is still under development and your input could actually help shape it?
Yeah, I think Steam's doing a version of that called early access, but the thing is, developers like take advantage of that, and they're trying to crack down on the other side.
But what I'd say is, one of the reasons that Baldur's Gate 3 was such the success that it was or is because it was in early access for like 3 years before most of us got to play it. Like, if you saw Karlach when the Karlach character model in the first version, versus current muscle mommy Karlach, you'd never know. You'd never know it was the same character, except that I think she was always a tiefling. I think that's the one thing. All right. You get the novel from our friend Razir.
That's great. If I could only read it.
Oh, okay. I'll do that. No Man's Sky probably had the best redemption story when you compare the reception at launch to how much it improved. The thing with sequels is that there's always expectation for the devs to make it better than the predecessor. That's why Half-Life 3 will never come out. The final product will never be able to match the hype. I don't know, Razir. I think it is coming out, and I think the dollar signs that these developers see in front of them is enough of an incentive for them to take the swing. Long games with replayability are always welcome as long as most of it's filled with substance rather than fluff. I gotta tell you, I'm playing through Cyberpunk right now. There's so much fluff in some of those early missions. I'm like, let me play.
It's a good
So
game,
frustrating. Same thing with Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh,
When I first started playing Monster Hunter Wilds, I was like, oh my God, why are there? Quit putting story in my Monster Hunter game. Monster Hunter is big weapon, go bonk. That's it. End of game. I don't need a story.
I'm so glad you agree with me.
Oh my God.
I like monster hunting, not monster storytelling.
Yes. It's not Monster Hunter Dawson's Creek edition. That's a very dated reference. In all fairness, Intel's B580 does compete with AMD for entry-level gaming in terms of value per dollar. But yeah, the 9060 XT 16 gig really demonstrates how trashy NVIDIA's 5060 Ti 8 gig is. That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Razir. Now I feel less crazy now that Razir's in my corner on the Intel thing. There's no excuse for getting an 8 gig card in 2025 for gaming. Even at 1080p, the lack of headroom will just make the card obsolete faster, and being forced to lower the eye candy when you're out of VRAM sucks. Nintendo stole the mouse mode feature from the Lenovo Legion Go. I didn't know that. They were the first ones to pioneer it, except the one on the Switch 2 is less ergonomic. I mean,
I do remember that. Yeah, that was such an interesting concept Lenovo made.
I mean, hey, Lenovo, let's see the lawsuit where you sue Nintendo for it. I want to see it. The deck is also great for emulation. Old school consoles weren't ported to PC to run on it, including Switch games. There are people who replace their Switch with the deck because it can do everything the Switch does and more. It's a good point. All right, rounding out the user circuit, we're going to go with this is the first build. This is by Don Don Don. Which,
wow.
Unless it's Don Don Don. I love it. Obviously, that looks like a custom loop cooling system. Very, very cool. And a liquid cooled GPU, which is maybe my favorite PC component out there. I love a liquid cooled GPU.
Dude, it looks sick. I love all the lighting that showcases like the green for the GeForce versus the blue for probably the Intel CPU.
That would be my guess. Yeah. All right. Well, Don Don Don, thank you for sending that in. And moving on, we've got this one by Quado, which I hope that's a reference to Total Recall, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Of course, Nico knows that movie. Nico knows the randomest movies out there. The other day, he was like, you know Rose from Dante's Peak? And I was like, no.
It's Ruth.
And then he was like, oh, it's Ruth. I'm sorry, it's Ruth. And it's like, I don't care. You could have said it was Renobi. Like, I wouldn't know. Pierce Brosnan was in that movie, and I don't think he even knows what Dante's Peak is.
Hey, Ruth is a saint. All right.
She dies for no reason. She literally, they're about to they're crossing a lake that was turned into acid by the ash, which is a real thing that can happen. And the boat starts getting eaten away, so they start sinking, and they're like, oh no, they're like 3 feet from the dock. They're like 3 feet from the dock, and momentum is carrying them to the dock. They'll be fine. Ruth gets out. She gets out, starts dragging the boat. She's like, ooh, ah. They're like, why are you doing that? They're literally like, Ruth, why? And she gets out. She's like, I'm dead.
She's a real MVP.
Tell me I'm not the only one lost here listening to these crazy stories, guys, in your chat. You put them in the comments below. I'm not the only one.
Quado, what a cool rig. I love it. I love the light up cables. I love the wraparound screen on your cooling block. I love the tricolor fans up top on your AIO. I think that's a
Yeah.
really cool look.
What was the thought process on that? I want to hear.
One thing that I do want to just point this out. Did you maybe put your RAM in the wrong way? Did you maybe put one set right next to each other and the other set right next to each other?
Good
'Cause
eye.
I don't think that worked so well.
Yeah.
But remember, your RAM is only as fast as the slowest RAM you have. That's whatever is the slowest RAM you've got in your system. All other RAM is going to drop down to its level. That's the way it works. So, easiest way around that: just buy the same RAM. Don't mix and match. It's the easiest way to avoid that. But thank you, Quado, for a very cool build, and thank you all for sticking around with us. That's another episode of Tech Circuit. Remember that you can find us on YouTube at Newegg Studios. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Twitter, Blue Sky, Acast, all those places. We are Tech Circuit Podcast. And let us know down below who you think won the game release fight. Was it Xbox? Was it PlayStation? What do you think of the Switch 2? And do you think Intel could possibly grow into the GPU space further? I want to know what you guys think. But until then, I'm Ben Tibbles.
I'm David Lee.
And this has been Tech Circuit. Love you guys. Have a good one. Bye.